Your children will wander around in this desert 40 years, suffering because of your sins, until all of you are dead. I will punish you severely every day for the next 40 years, 1 year for each day that the land was explored. You sinful people who ganged up against me will die here in the desert. 10 of the men sent to explore the land had brought back bad news and had made the people complain against the Lord. So he sent a deadly disease that killed those men. But he let Joshua and Caleb live. The people of Israel were very sad after Moses gave them the Lord's message. So they got up early the next morning and got ready to head toward the hill country of Canaan. They said, "We were wrong to complain about the Lord. Let's go into the land that he promised us." But Moses replied, "You're disobeying the Lord. Your plan won't work, so don't even try it. The Lord refuses to help you because you turned your backs on him. The Amalekites and the Canaanites are your enemies, and they will attack and defeat you." But the Israelites ignored Moses and marched toward the hill country, even though the sacred chest and Moses did not go with them. The Amalekites and the Canaanites came down from the hill country, defeated the Israelites, and chased them as far as the town of Hormah. After the rebellion and its consequences, the Lord spoke to Moses, giving further instructions for the Israelites when they enter the promised land. He commanded that when they make offerings to the Lord, burnt offerings, grain offerings, drink offerings, or offerings for special vows, they must accompany these with specific measures of flour mixed with oil and wine. These offerings were to be presented as a pleasing aroma to the Lord, whether they were made by native-born Israelites or foreigners living among them. The Lord emphasized that the same laws and regulations applied to both groups, ensuring unity and consistency in worship practices. The Lord also addressed unintentional sins, providing a way for the community or individuals to seek atonement through specific sacrifices. If the whole community sinned unintentionally, they were to offer a young bull as a burnt offering and a goat as a sin offering. For individuals who sinned unintentionally, a female goat was to be offered. However, for those who sinned defiantly, showing contempt for the Lord, the punishment was severe, and they were to be cut off from their people. Additionally, an incident occurred where a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath, and upon the Lord's command, he was stoned to death by the community. To help the Israelites remember and obey all the Lord's commands, the Lord instructed them to make tassels on the corners of their garments with a blue cord, serving as a visual reminder to live a holy and obedient life. Korah, son of Izhar, was a Levite from the Kohathite clan. One day he called together Dathan, Abiram, and On from the Reuben tribe, and the 4 of them decided to rebel against Moses. So they asked 250 respected Israelite leaders for their support, and together they went to Moses and Aaron and said, "Why do you think you're so much better than everyone else? We're part of the Lord's holy people, and he's with all of us. What makes you think you're the only ones in charge?" When Moses heard this, he knelt down to pray. Then he said to Korah and his followers, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will show us the person he has chosen to be his priest, and that man will faithfully serve him. Korah, here is what you and your followers must do. Get some fire pans, fill them with coals and incense, and place them near the sacred tent, and the man the Lord chooses will be his priest. Korah, this time you Levites have gone too far. You know that the God of Israel has chosen you Levites from all Israel to serve him by being in charge of the sacred tent and by helping the community to worship in the proper way. What more do you want? The Lord has given you a special responsibility. And now, Korah, you think you should also be his priest. You and your followers have rebelled against the Lord, not against Aaron." Then Moses sent for Dathan and Abiram, but they sent back this message: "We won't come. It's bad enough that you took us from our rich farmland in Egypt to let us die here in the desert. Now you also want to boss us around. You keep promising us rich farmlands with fertile fields and vineyards. But where are they? Stop trying to trick these people. No, we won't come to see you." Moses was very angry and said to the Lord, "Don't listen to these men. I haven't done anything wrong to them. I haven't taken as much as a donkey." Then he said to Korah, "Tomorrow you and your followers must go with Aaron to the Lord's sacred tent. Each of you take along your fire pan with incense in it and offer the incense to the Lord." The next day the men placed incense and coals in their fire pans and stood with Moses and Aaron at the entrance to the sacred tent. Meanwhile, Korah had convinced the rest of the Israelites to rebel against their 2 leaders. When that happened, the Lord appeared in all his glory and said to Moses and Aaron, "Get away from the rest of the Israelites so I can kill them at once." But the two men bowed down and prayed, "Our God, you gave these people life. Why would you punish everyone here when only one man has sinned?" The Lord answered Moses, "Tell the people to stay away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses walked over to Dathan and Abiram, and the other leaders of Israel followed. Then Moses warned the people, "Get away from the tents of these sinful men. Don't touch anything that belongs to them, or you'll be wiped out." So everyone moved away from those tents, except Korah, Dathan, Abiram, and their families. Moses said to the crowd, "The Lord has chosen me and told me to do these things. It wasn't my idea. And here's how you will know. If these men die a natural death, it means the Lord hasn't chosen me. But suppose the Lord does something that has never been done before. For example, what if a huge crack appears in the ground, and these men and their families fall into it and are buried alive, together with everything they own? Then you will know they have turned their backs on the Lord." As soon as Moses said this, the ground under the men opened up and swallowed them alive, together with their families and everything they owned. Then the ground closed back up, and they were gone. The rest of the Israelites heard their screams.